Welcome to Perspectives Online and on air from WFSU Public Media. I'm Tom Flanagan, and this program was recorded on Tuesday, September 15th for playback both on WFSU FM and the WFSU Public Media Facebook page on Thursday, September 17th. Well, boys, we get today's discussion underway. A very wet hurricane named Sally is creeping toward landfall, and in the days to come, the storm's expected to meander kind of to the north and the east while continuing to dump vast quantities of rainwater into the rivers and stream systems that ultimately wind up in North Florida. And one of those river systems is the focus of today's program. It is the Apalachicola, which is also part, of course, of the Flint and Chattahoochee watersheds up north. And every year, a hardy group of adventurers paddles more than 100 miles down the Apalachicola via kayak, and some of this year's river trekkers join us today. We're going to be talking about that experience as well as the remarkable ecosystem that they get to savor up close. They are so lucky. So let's meet the panel today. We'll start off with Courtenay Miller. Now, he grew up near the banks of the mighty St. Johns River in Northeast Florida before he headed west some 10 years ago to enjoy the many treasures of the state's forgotten coast. He's also Chief Assistant Public Defender for Franklin County, besides being a devoted defender of the environment, too. Courtenay, it is so good for you to join us. How's everything in Franklin County?
Ooh, wet one going on now. Yeah, I have an office window right here that was getting pounded earlier while I was in the Zoom court meeting that we had, which lasted pretty much all morning. I was lucky to get out of it just in time for this. Appreciate being here, and it'll be my first time as a Rivertrek person, but living here in Apalachicola, I've known about it and always been interested. I had 3 friends who were on it last year, and I decided this year I was going to make my best effort to get on it, and I appreciate Doug's organization and being involved.
Well, your sense of adventure is an inspiration to us all, Courtenay, and thanks so much for joining us today. Can't wait to delve more into that as we go throughout the program. Right next door to you, we'll say hi to our next Apalachicola River trekker, who has visited us before in her day job role as co-executive director of Tallahassee's Goodwood Museum and Gardens. But beneath that mild-mannered persona, Jennifer Humayan is a bold outdoor adventurer, and she recently purchased a kayak in order to add paddling to her pursuits so she could take part in the Rivertrek as well. Jennifer, I didn't know you had it in you. That is so neat. When did you get your kayak?
Well, actually, I am still looking for a kayak, but I'm hoping Harry Smith Outdoors is going to set me up with that. And I kind of want to do a shout out to the Riverkeepers for that, because what they've done is they've managed to arrange for me to get a loaner kayak from someone who's done it for a couple years before. And it gives me an opportunity to see what kind of boat I want. I did get a Hobie, but that was just to do some paddling around, and there's no way anyone should go down the Apalachicola River in a Hobie. But I've enjoyed having those to play around with and get ready for the Rivertrek, and hopefully get my own kayak, which are in hot demand right now.
That is what I hear, and we will get into that, because our next guest is the guy that you want to not only buy a kayak from, but also to be your guide as to the delights of North Florida's great outdoors. In fact, his Tallahassee enterprise is named Harry Smith Outdoors. And even if you were born and raised in this part of the world, this is the guy who can show you new wonders that you never even knew existed. And besides, he can sell you a new kayak. Harry, it is a pleasure for you to join us. And before we get started on the Rivertrek here, tell us about your enterprise, Harry Smith Outdoors.
Well, I mean, I thank you for having me, Tom. This is a great honor to be here with all these wonderful people. Yeah, so Harry Smith, I appreciate the great introduction. Harry Smith Outdoors, your one-stop full-service kayak shop. Everything specializing in guided eco tours and fishing trips, and then sales, service, repair, installation, the whole nine. Your one-stop shop. Located in Tallahassee, downtown Railroad Square Art District.
There you go. Okay.
Right across from Alan Thompson.
Oh, well. And Alan Thompson, if that name is unfamiliar to you folks who are watching and listening to us right now, Alan is the Lord High Head honcho in charge of the downtown market on Saturdays in downtown Tallahassee, but he also has a great furniture rehabilitation facility also in the Railroad Square Art Park. So if your chair breaks down or gets sick, take it down and he'll fix you right up. We wrap up there our introduction, though, welcoming back our good friend and 6-time river trekker, Doug Alderson. Doug, Apalachicola Riverkeepers Outreach and Advocacy Director. And he is also the author of several award-winning volumes on the unique ecology of this region and a dear friend of everything that makes this part of the world such a precious place and got this whole thing organized as well. And Doug, we can't thank you enough, but looking forward to this year's Rivertrek. So number 7 for you now?
It would be, I've been on several Rivertreks, complete ones and several part ones. So I think this will be my 6th full one. And I've been on 3 or 4 part Rivertreks, like 3 or 4 days out of the 5. So I'm losing track. It's been a part of my life since 2010. And I look forward to each one like a kid waiting for Christmas. You know, it's just something to really look forward to. And there's nothing like paddling the river to really slow you down and really get you in tune with what it's all about, to me. And to share it with a great group of people, usually some repeat customers and some brand new folks, and to try to see it through their eyes and see the beauty of this basin. It really is outstanding.
How long has Rivertrek been going on, and when is this year's Apalachicola Rivertrek, Doug?
Yeah, Rivertrek started about a dozen years ago by Earl Morrow. He was on the board of directors, and it began kind of, it wasn't called Rivertrek in the very beginning. It was a big group trip to try to raise awareness about the river with speakers, and Earl was on that trip, and he kind of got the idea we can continue this with something called Rivertrek, and he coined the phrase and kind of developed an itinerary, and we kind of roughly follow that today. And Georgia Ackerman and I took over the coordination about 2012, and we've had other volunteer coordinators help us out with that, and it's turned into the major fundraising venue for the Riverkeeper, as well as a great awareness raising for not only the paddlers, but all the people they engage with around their communities as well. This year's trek is October 6th to the 10th. So it's basically about 3 weeks.
And it is also a long trek too. You folks are in excess of 100 miles paddling downstream on the Apalachicola. So it is, yeah, you may say it's easy to float downstream, but there's still a lot of paddling involved there.
Still a lot of paddling. The river does have the largest flow of any Florida river. That does help. However, you're still doing over 20 miles a day. So that involves about 6 hours of paddling a day. So you do have to be in some physical condition, some good physical condition. We've been doing lots of practice paddles. So we've been going out on day trips, mostly on Saturdays, and with a lot of the new folks and other folks who just want to get a feel for what's it like to paddle several hours a day and get those muscles in gear. And so it won't be a shock when you get out there and do it all day long for 5 days. The hardest day is always the last day because you may have a coastal wind coming in your face. This year we have a tide going out, which is good for change. So it's not coming in. So that may offset some of that headwind that we usually encounter near Apalachicola.
One other factor, though, you may have to deal with, and again, we're recording this on Tuesday for playback on Thursday, but the total impact of what is left of Hurricane Sally is still likely to persist at least a little bit while longer. And since Courtenay Miller, you're right there, kind of looking out over the Apalachicola, where it stops being a river and starts turning into a bay. What's the flow situation like as you're looking at it right now? Are we kind of up in level, or?
The water level's very high. Most of the marinas I've been around to, the 10-foot hole, Scipio Creek, and some of the docks are underwater during the higher tides for the past today and yesterday. So yeah, we're getting a noticeable amount of water and streets flooding.
Yeah, and you're probably going to see some continued flow from those northern regions of the Apalachicola and all the tributaries there, perhaps abating somewhat by Rivertrek time, hopefully, but still it's going to put a different spin on things. Jennifer Humayan, I got to ask you, what kind of led you to contemplating the Rivertrek as part of your ever expanding categories of outdoor adventures that you like to indulge in?
One of the things that probably drew me the most to doing the Rivertrek, well, twofold. One, I love the organization. I've known Georgia for a while, and just knowing that it's an organization that is efficiently and effectively operated, that's appealing. And the other is because it's a way to see a part of our area that you don't get from the roads or bike trails. I like to do a lot of cycling. Doug mentioned a minute ago about some of these Saturday paddles we've done, and they have been just so exciting to see these corners of our region that I would not have seen otherwise. So to go from Chattahoochee all the way down, I'm looking forward to seeing new things in a way that I like to see them, a little slower pace, under my own steam. And in the meantime, kind of supporting some of the local things that are along the way.
Okay, Harry Smith, you kind of know just about every backwoods trail and sand spur that we have in North Florida. Talk about some of the things that you see along the Apalachicola that is unique to that area that you don't really find too much of in North Florida.
Well, I mean, first, obviously, that stands out. This is my fourth time doing this trek with Doug and company, and every time you see something new, it's totally different, and that's what draws me back. You're constantly seeing new stuff. You're learning new stuff, and the way they put this together with educational speakers and people, that know a lot more about certain things than any of us could ever dream of, go out there and talk to us about it, and open our eyes to what we're looking at in the surrounding areas as far as history, ecology, things like that. But one thing that stands out that I think most people can agree on is the ravines and the high bluffs that you find along the Apalachicola River. You've got the famous Alum Bluff that we camp on that sandbar across from Alum Bluff on night one, and it's just magical to wake up and see that sunshine coming onto the high bluffs of that ravine, and that was just amazing.
It's a part of the world, Doug Alderson, that, as Harry said, is unique as far as topography, but it also stands out when it comes to the overall mix of plant and animal life that is along the Apalachicola River basin. Didn't you say, I think the last time that you visited us, that this is one of the most ecologically diverse areas, certainly in the Southeast and perhaps even in the top 10 of the whole country?
Yeah, it's in the top 5 as a biological hotspot with the diversity of plants, animals. Just the reptiles alone, I think there's at least 40 different species of reptiles. I kind of have a cheat sheet here. Let me just check that. 80 species of reptiles and 40 species of amphibians. So that alone is pretty incredible. And some of these animals are found nowhere else in the world. That's what's amazing, including the plants like the torreya tree, which is unique to that region. So it is an incredible place. We are just seeing a slice of it when we go down the river, because the floodplain goes from about 1 mile wide to 5 miles wide. And so there is diversity within that floodplain that we're not seeing, but we can hear about that through the speakers and the different videos. And we'll do side trips too. We do trips every month in the basin that's open to the public. So we try to raise awareness in many different ways.
So it's not just the annual Rivertrek, then you have an ongoing series of outreach programs that through Apalachicola Riverkeeper to try to make people not only more appreciative and aware of what is there, but to get them hands-on, up close and personal involved in touring the river and developing that kind of first-person appreciation for it.
Yes, we call that the eco-educational outings program because that's what we're doing. We're trying to expose them firsthand and also educate them about what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. And it's very effective. The Rivertrek is our biggest though, 5 days. And if you look at the leadership of our organization, from the board president, Kim Sash, vice president, Katie McCormick, our Riverkeeper, Georgia Ackerman, all three really got their start because they went on Rivertrek. So that really solidifies their exposure and their dedication to this resource. And so we're seeing that as a means to go a little deeper for people to dedicate themselves to protecting this resource.
Courtenay Miller, a little bit different than the St. Johns River as far as, and number one, it flows in the wrong direction, of course, but you have some other differences there between Northwest Florida and Northeast Florida when it comes to the river situation, don't you?
Oh yeah, very different. I guess first of all, the flow is dramatically different from the meandering St. Johns. It's great to have moved out here about 12 years ago because I had not explored that much of the Forgotten Coast around here, and I still enjoy going back to the East Coast, but I'm really happy to be exploring more and more around here, and this Rivertrek adventure really is I know will be a highlight of all this.
But it's also a great promotional vehicle, though, for Franklin County tourism specifically, because as we've seen from the last figures that have come out from state government in Florida, your big Central Florida attractions and South Florida is not doing too well in the tourism game right now. But it seems as though nature-based tourism, as you would have in a place like Apalachicola, Franklin County, and along that watershed, seems to continually attract people, even though COVID has put such a damper on tourism in general now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so many open areas down here. I guess it's appropriately named the Forgotten Coast because I was amazed when I first moved out here at the lack of development and open spaces. Before I moved to Apalachicola, I was living in Panacea, since it's halfway between Tallahassee and Apalachicola, working in both places, now full-time in Apalachicola. But anyway, I just was amazed when, like living in Panacea, I could just go down to the end of my road and look around. I don't see any development. And Apalachicola has been a great place to be. And even the downtown areas, things are kind of slowly reopening. People are respecting distances, and we have a lot of outdoor seating areas. So I think as long as everyone does this right, and there's plenty of opportunity down here to have distancing and enjoying the area here.
And Jennifer Humayan, that is kind of your bailiwick too, as co-executive director of Goodwood Museum and Gardens, that heritage, nature-based type of tourism marketing possibilities that this area has, maybe more than most other places in Florida. And to use something like the Apalachicola Rivertrek and historic places like Goodwood, Apalachicola proper, that whole scenic area along US 98 as a springboard for more economic development. It seems as though as we come back from certainly Hurricane Michael, there are all kinds of opportunities and possibilities there.
Yeah, I think that you're really hitting an important point for our local economy. It's important that we all work together. And one of the great things about spending time outdoors, whether it's a day trip or something a little bit longer like the Rivertrek, we also then like to stop and have a little creature comforts, whether it's just eating at a restaurant or having a few beers at Oyster City down in Apalachicola or something. And so the synergy between the outdoor recreation opportunities that we have in our region and all the great places to stay, places to visit, like Goodwood, places to eat, really can develop North Florida as a bit more of a destination than people have been coming to in the past. You know, mostly it's been football or theme parks, and hopefully it will be more biking, kayaking, or just hanging out in some of these pretty places where you can socially distance from people. But people are re-examining how they're living, and organizations are re-examining how they can offer what that audience is looking for. Things are going to, I think things are going to permanently change.
Yeah, and to that point, Harry Smith, while so many other kinds of businesses have taken a major hit to the point of perhaps not even being able to continue operating, recreational enterprises like your Harry Smith Outdoors seems to be doing pretty well right now.
That's absolutely correct. And going into this whole pandemic, you know, we were just as scared as other small businesses. We didn't know where this was going to land us or how it was going to affect us. But we quickly found out that if you're in the outdoor industry right now, the past 3 months and continuing, you're doing really well. People are, you know, that's that social distancing that Jennifer was just hitting on, that people can get out and, you know, that's a safe bet, safe activity. And not only that, but it gets you outside, exercising, that fresh air. It's just good all the way around. And I think people are realizing that, and what kind of benefits that holds, not only to just, you know, social distancing, but, you know, getting active and seeing things from a different perspective, from the water, from the rivers, or from the bike trails, or whatever that may be to you. But just getting outdoors is definitely the way to go. And like, business has been booming. I can't keep up. I've had to hire more guides, and just recently brought in another shop person, and just trying to keep up with the demand. And, you know, but, you know, inventory's been tough to get. So there's headaches that are coming along with this. So it's been a very, very eye-opening and interesting few months for a small business owner like myself in the outdoor industry, for sure.
So many things have changed. Jennifer, go ahead.
I just wanted to add on what Harry was saying about the benefits of it for personal health. And I think a lot of people are also experiencing the joy they get from being out of doors, and the calm that you get, mental calm, emotional calm, from slowing down, as Doug had mentioned before. And I think that the great thing about what we're going to be doing as river trekkers and what's happening in our area with the outdoor enterprises is that people are beginning to even love it more. And our region has the ability to absorb that. I don't think it's going to get overused, but I'm hoping that what that translates into is people supporting organizations like the Riverkeeper, and supporting businesses like Harry's or bike shops or things like that.
And Courtenay Miller is a lifelong outdoor kind of guy. You know, there used to be, and I'm sure it is still pretty much accepted in many quarters, but in order to go into the woods, you had to have a reason. You were going hunting, or you were going fishing. You had a purpose. And yet you can just go out and wander around and enjoy nature for its own sake, and not feel like, you know, you're slacking. Really is what it boils down to. And there seems to be a growing appreciation of that. You don't need that rationale of, okay, I'm doing something useful. Just getting out and around, or paddling down a stream or whatever, is valuable in and of itself.
Absolutely. I was thinking about just floating around and taking it all in is, it's so relaxing. As far as boating goes, I'm a sailboat kind of person. And so I like just using the wind or my own power and feeling a part of it all, feeling the wind and the waves. The scenery around here, there's so many places to go. And just doing these practice paddles with our Rivertrek team, the persons who've been able to make it out. I've already seen, I've been here a while now and I actively go out, but I've been to 3 different places now that I had not been to before, because Doug will organize these practice paddles for us. And it's just been a great way to meet new people on this Rivertrek team and also to get to know the area.
Doug, you're fully subscribed then for the upcoming Rivertrek in early October. You have a full house already lined up for that?
We do. We have 13 people, and we have some precautions in line for the COVID. But you have to realize the sandbars in the Apalachicola are sometimes a quarter mile long, so we're going to stretch out with our tents and everything. Group pictures may be by drone, so we can spread out on the water instead of bunched up together. We have group meals set up with volunteers that will serve everybody wearing masks, and everybody's going to wear masks with group meals when they receive their food and everything. So we have it set up. I think we're pretty confident. As Harry was saying, the outdoors is really the safest environment we can be in during the pandemic. And I wanted to add that we have an Apalachicola Basin trail guide. We're featuring all the different trails in our basin on our website, hiking, biking, and paddling. And there's probably 24 paddling trails and several hiking trails and a couple bike trails. And locally, there's Tallahassee that features all the trails in our region as well around Tallahassee. So there's lots of opportunities to spread the use out so we don't get bunched up in one place. We can really find some of these places that are a little bit more remote and out of the way and that we may not see anybody else. We just have to go a little farther out into the woods or the waterways to see them, experience them.
Yeah, the last I heard, we had something like, just in Leon County, something like 700 miles of trails that are now up and running, and ultimately you'll be able to go from essentially the Georgia border all the way down to the coast without having to cross a major thoroughfare, which I think is absolutely remarkable.
Yes, Friday I took out a New York travel writer who had never been kayaking in our region. I took her on a remote creek along the basin, and she just could not believe it. The tupelo trees and the cypress trees and the black water with the mirror. And she goes, I can't believe this is not being overrun with so many people. I said, well, we don't want to be overrun, but we have so many places and they're pretty remote that I think we can spread out the use and accommodate a lot of people without having a harm to the resource.
And there are, in addition to the bluffs that you have there along several sections of the Apalachicola, let's see, what is it? The Bear Creek State Park, I believe, which is which is near Quincy. I stumbled on that several years ago, and it reminded me of a section of the world known as the Laurel Highlands of Western Pennsylvania. It looked nothing like North Florida or South Georgia. So we have some topography that kind of runs counter to the conventional wisdom here in our area. By the way, folks, if you're checking us out either on radio or the WFSU Public Media Facebook page, we are talking with the participants of the upcoming Apalachicola Rivertrek. And if you miss all or part of any Perspectives program, it is available online, not only on our WFSU.org website, but also our WFSU Public Media Facebook page we just mentioned. We try to have the most recent program up on both places as soon as we can after it airs on the radio. And you can go back and hear, or in the case of Facebook, see it over and over again. Jennifer Humayan, let's see, right now, you said you were up in visiting the wonderful wilds of West Virginia, but this is part again of a overall exploration of how to make our area perhaps more attractive to visitors, both internally and from outside the area. So what kind of information are you thinking of perusing to bring back to us to further develop our attractiveness to folks?
Well, I think, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest takeaways for me is that really partnering together across industries and within builds everybody up. You know, if you're spending part of your day on the trail, you want to spend part of your day eating some good food or staying in a good restaurant. And that's one of the things that they're doing up here in this beautiful part of the country. But also just getting the word out to people and letting them have an opportunity to discover it for themselves.
Okay, and Courtenay Miller, there in Apalachicola, in Franklin County, there is an ongoing push to further develop that area as an attraction, not only for folks from outside our area, but also people from even right down the road, because there are many, I'm sure, even in as close as Tallahassee or Panama City, who have never availed themselves of everything that Apalachicola has to offer. So how do you see this as part, again, of that marketing strategy to, yeah, you were a great fishing and commercial maritime center at one time, but Apalachicola is remaking itself going forward as I don't want to say tourist attraction. It kind of sounds, you know, a little chintzy and tawdry, but at least as a visitor-friendly destination.
Well, I feel like something that's helped preserve the character here is you got to go a little out of your way to get here. It's not like right on the beaten path. A lot of people have never heard of the place. I find when I'm on the phone with someone from somewhere else, making a business call or something. But you know, I do feel like I really want the place to maintain this charm that it has. And I think it can do that because of the space we have and the outdoor opportunities that can be a different type of place than really anywhere else in Florida. There's other towns. I used to live in Fernandina Beach, and it used to be like Apalachicola, not so much anymore. But I saw Jennifer raise her hand. I'll let her add something to it.
Yeah, because I think that what you're saying is that people are looking for these authentic experiences, and they're finding them in places like Apalachicola. History and heritage is my specialty, also with Goodwood Museum and Gardens. And people who come to us, they want to hear why we're there, why the grounds are preserved from the early 1800s into today. What has happened in our region, and what made people live there, what made people leave. And you're getting the same thing down in Franklin County in a big way, you know, whether it was the river that was transporting the turpentine and timber, or whether it's the fishing that we see more of today. It's genuine, it's authentic. People are living that lifestyle still, and people like to see that. It's not just like visiting any other city.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not like the manufactured Main Street, and I'm not referencing any specific destination, you understand, but still it has been there historically, and it is preserved, and it's something you can say, oh my gosh, this is, you know, this was a warehouse. This used to be where when the shrimp boats came in, they would disgorge their cargo here, and it would be processed in this area and sold out of this building. And now it is a boutique or whatever it is, but still it retains that original look and feel that it had when it was its first blush. Harry Smith, how do we protect our outdoors? There, even in this part of Florida, there is still growth that is going on. So how do we manage that, do you think?
Well, I think what we need to do is education. It all starts with education. Teaching anybody who comes into our area what we're doing to protect what we have, not overcrowded like Doug says, but I think we have enough availability to where that's not a big issue. You know, just the simple stuff: pack in, pack out, leave it cleaner than what you found it. You know, pick up a little bit of trash, stay on the designated trails. You know, look, don't touch. You know, don't take anything from our areas, and just kind of let it be. And I think Jennifer hit this on the head too earlier regarding people getting outdoors more during this pandemic and seeing the beauty and the joy that's out here will hopefully, you know, entice them to want to protect it more and you know, protect what we have in our own backyard and how incredibly beautiful and yeah, just fun. It's just so fun out there.
That sounds like the mission statement of Apalachicola Riverkeeper, Doug Alderson, huh?
Right. Well, we have fun, but we also have a serious purpose, and that is to protect the resource and try to restore some of the resource that's been impacted. So our golden child is really, we have a slough restoration project. We're trying to restore 3 sloughs that will help restore flow to the floodplain and restore flow to East Bay, and that's going to help Apalachicola Bay because those are the key components for the nutrients that go into the bay and feed the different marine life and the oysters in the bay. So that is a 3-year project, and we have a grant, and we have a team of scientists, we have a team of local workers that will help open up these sloughs that were clogged up many years ago by the Corps of Engineers during their dredging processes and so forth. So we are very excited about that. We have some exciting work going on that I think will help restore the bay. And of course, we have the lawsuits and everything to try to get more water coming down the system from Georgia. There's 2 main lawsuits going on, one against the Corps of Engineers and one the state of Florida versus Georgia in the Supreme Court of the United States. But we also have these restoration projects going on at the same time. So I think the next 5 years, it's going to be very exciting times, and hopefully we'll see some results from all of this.
Well, speaking of 5 years, Apalachicola Riverkeeper, of course, was party to a push to put in place a 5-year moratorium on oyster harvesting in Apalachicola Bay. That went through. Do you think 5 years will be enough, or will there be ongoing research to determine how fast the oysters are rebounding? How is that going to work, Doug?
We certainly hope that'll be enough. Certainly hope maybe even less time. The bay was shut down in 1985 because of Hurricane Elena for 1.5 years. And they reshelled some of the oyster bars, and giving the bay a break like that, it really recovered after that. So we're hoping with the analysis and the recovery efforts of $20 million that the state will be doing over the next 5 years, that the bay will come back. And these other projects that will help restore nutrients and fresh water into the bay, that will help as well. So obviously the challenges won't go away overnight. We're going to be in this for the long term, but our vision is to see those many oyster boats that we used to see out in the bay, of people making a living on the bay. Hundreds of people on the bay used to make their living and not deplete the resource. And we're hoping that can be sustained in the future, and we can see those oyster boats back out in the bay again.
Yeah, because Courtenay Miller, there is nothing more synonymous with the name Apalachicola than oyster. And that resource is not only historical, but it's also contemporary. It is a major source of income for a lot of folks. So those, I'm sure those tongers are really eager to get back out into the bay and get back to work again. So is that still a major economic driver for Franklin County?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there's families here for generations that's been their livelihood. And now with the moratorium, which I think pretty much most agree this is a good thing, we need to try to get things to come back. I know some folks are now turning to yard work and other things because there's just not the money to be had on the bay. During the time I've been here, I've seen the less and less oysters coming in, and the number of bags that can be harvested. And well, just hoping that, like Doug mentioned, hopefully it won't take 5 years, maybe not. But we'll just have to see how this goes. But it's been pretty depressing for there's certain family names around here that's what they have done all, like I said, for generations.
Yeah, that's the historic way of life, going back many, many generations on that. So again, Jennifer Humayan, it puts the pressure on tourism to make up at least for the loss of some of that income, some of that revenue for
In
areas.
part, but I think, and it's important to me, but Doug was talking about some of these grants and the people that they're employing and the work that's being provided. And that's kind of a short-term thing. Hopefully the longer-term effect of that is going to be a healthier system. So Courtney's friends in Apalachicola can get back out there and be doing what they want to do. You know, the tupelo trees are being threatened. The pollinators for those trees are being threatened. The health of the river is going to ensure that we have those folks making tupelo honey, which I saw advertised in Williams-Sonoma catalog. So, you know, it goes beyond our area, people that are catfish farming. You know, I'm really doing this trip because of the beauty of it, and it's going to be personally rewarding, but I'm really proud of the fact that I'm doing something for a river that is helping the economy of people up and down the river and on either side of it, not even within the watershed itself. I think it's a critically important resource for our area.
And I will mention the aquaculture oysters. They're fantastic. They are very good. And that's really taking off. I think right now they've started a series of, I believe they're held in Crawfordville, to introduce people to the methods and how to get the permits and everything. So not all is lost for our local oystermen. They can turn this into just a different way of doing it over in Alligator Harbor. And they're doing, my understanding is more and more leases are going to be coming out. And the oysters are very good. They come out uniform because they're growing together. The ones I've had have the right level of saltiness. So as these adjustments are being made, you know, hopefully this will all be for the better to make these adjustments.
Yeah, and I know it is kind of a heartbreaking transition for some folks. It's kind of as one old guy over in St. Mark's described it to me once. It's like saying you can't be a hunter anymore. You got to be a farmer, and I'm a hunter. And I thought that's an interesting way of looking at it. But if you don't have the option of being a hunter, at least you can continue being on the water and doing what you love in a slightly different way, perhaps. So I don't know. Not everyone has quite the chutzpah, Harry Smith, of you know, jumping in a kayak for the first time and trekking down the Apalachicola. But for folks who maybe are hearing or seeing this and they are interested in pursuing a bit of kayaking there, can you get them started? Get them all set up and ready to go?
Absolutely. I think the number one, the biggest question is, you know, what the, you know, type of boat, getting out there. Now, if we're talking Rivertrek specifically, you know, I mean, a lot goes into that, packing your boat, learning your boat, and kind of going from there. But we can certainly at Harry Smith Outdoors get you in that right direction. Even if you're a novice and want to go paddle some of the smaller lakes and rivers around our area, we can set you in the right direction for sure. But I think for as far as anybody looking to want to do Apalachicola Rivertrek in the future, just get out there and paddle, get you try different boats, make sure you get a boat that's going to work for you and for the river, and get out there and have some fun.
Thank you, sir. I asked that, Doug Alderson, because is it too late to sign up for next year's Apalachicola Rivertrek?
Certainly not too late. We start accepting applications around late January, and then we determine the team around mid-April. So we have that period where people can apply. And most everybody makes it if they have some kayaking experience, and especially if they know about how to fundraise, which really sometimes doesn't involve any more than asking friends and family for donations. It's not that difficult. And we ask for kind of $1,000 minimum. Many people exceed that. My neighbor got up to 13,000 last year by just hitting up some of his business contacts. So that was significant. He was our record holder. So our goal this year is $60,000. And we are over half of that goal right now. So we have 3 weeks to go. And I think we're at about 34,000 as of yesterday. So that's good. And usually we get money right on through the Rivertrek. On Rivertrek, we get money coming in as well, because we're gonna do some live social media feeds and everything. And so stay tuned to our Facebook page and Instagram and our website for blogs. And we will try to keep people posted on the happenings at Rivertrek.
Well, that's a good thing to know, because I'm sure even inveterate, rough and ready outdoor folks will wonder, how many bars can we get out there on the river? Because just about everything is online, as we well know right now. So
Right.
you still get pretty good reception out there in most places? Or?
There's a couple spots where we don't, but for the most part, we do. There's right in the middle section. It's a little sketchy sometimes, but that's part of most of the paddlers are going to be unplugged. We have a support boat. Georgia's going to be on that with a couple volunteers, and they're probably going to do most of the social media while we are out there paddling and having fun. So part of the beauty of Rivertrek really is to unplug yourself. But we'll have other folks help to take care of the social media part of it.
An email-free zone. How wonderful is that?
Yes.
Folks, only a few minutes remaining in our program. Let's get some final thoughts here. Courtenay Miller, anything else that you want to add into the conversation before we close her off?
Oh, well, I'd just encourage anyone who has an interest in paddling, being outdoors, get out there and explore. There's so many opportunities around here, and no reason to not, especially these times. Instead of just sitting around your house, get on out there.
For sure. Good luck on your Rivertrek. Jennifer Humayan.
I have to echo Courtenay. There's a lot of wonderful things out there, and that these are such stressful times for so many reasons. It doesn't cost a lot. It's not far away. Go out there and do it. And if you want to help preserve it, then help support the Rivertrek team by going to the Apalachicola Riverkeeper website.
We hope you have an enjoyable visit up there in the wilds of wonderful West Virginia, and a safe trek back here to Tallahassee to get yourself in shape and ready for Rivertrek. Are you going through any special exercises or preparations for the journey, or what?
For myself, I'm just trying to get on the river. You know, it's like so many activities. If you're a runner, a strong runner doesn't necessarily mean you're a strong cyclist. If you're a strong cyclist, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a strong kayaker. So for kayaking, it's like anything else. You just have to build up to doing a little bit more. I don't know that anybody on this trip is going out for 6 hours a day, except maybe, on a weekend. But it sounds like there's a pretty good record of people finishing regardless of what their abilities are, because people are committed to doing this. And I think that the group will help pull them along. We'll all get there.
That's what I heard the last time I talked to Georgia. She says, we haven't lost one yet. So that's a good thing. Harry Smith, final thoughts from you, sir.
I'm just happy to be here with a wonderful group of people. Like I said, getting out there. I actually treat Rivertrek as my little vacation I know I'm doing exactly what I'd normally be doing, being out on the water with a group of people that I may or may not know, but this is what I love, and it's for a great organization. Like Jennifer said, if you guys are interested in donating, please go check out the Apalachicola Riverkeeper website and, help us along the way. And again, I'll say this again, Jennifer, that anybody who, are having second thoughts, say on day 4, we're a huge encouraging team, and we tend to pump people up, and we get them out there. Find a paddle buddy that paddles kind of at your pace and your style, and make friends, and encourage each other along, and have some fun doing it. And we'll all reconvene at the sandbar and swap stories and talk about the day, and look forward to the next day.
Talk about
one paddle stroke at a time. That's
there
all.
you go. We can talk about a bonding experience. Final word from you, Doug Alderson.
Yes, usually on Rivertrek, when I get into the second and third day, I get into what I call river time, and I wrote about that in the Democrat the other day. And that's when you just feel like you just want to keep going. You don't want the trip to end. You just wish the sandbars would just keep going. You just keep camping for another few days or more, maybe a few weeks. And so in some ways, the Rivertrek is too short once you get into the mode. And I think a lot of the people realize that once they're on the river, the second and third day, they just want to keep going. They wish this would not end. So hopefully they'll have that feeling.
Well, for those who want to find out more about the Apalachicola Riverkeeper, your outreach programs, your educational opportunities, Doug, how do they find that out?
Yes, everything's on our website. So www.riverkeeper.org, and you'll see links for the Rivertrek and our outdoor outings, and the trail guide, and the issues, all the many issues and projects we're doing. We do a lot. We're very volunteer based. We just have 2 full-time staff, 2 part-time staff, but we have many, many volunteers that really help keep us going. We do a lot of cleanups along the river basin as well, at least once a month, and many other projects. Water sampling, water quality monitoring, microplastics sampling. You'll find.
Well, folks, good luck on this year's Rivertrek. I hope that the weather is absolutely ideal for the situation, and we want a full report when you wrap this one up and get her in the history books here next month. So thanks everyone, Doug Alderson, Jennifer Humayan, Courtenay Miller, and Harry Smith for joining us on this special edition of Perspectives.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
We are produced by WFSU Public Media in Tallahassee. Thanks going out also to Taylor Cox, Paul Dam, Amy Diaz de Villegas, Tricia Moynihan, and Lydell Rawls, our Zoom facilitator, and executive producer Kim Kelling. And I'm Tom Flanagan. Starting next Tuesday, we resume our series of political perspectives. As we head towards the November general election, we're going to be talking with the 3 candidates for Leon County School Superintendent. We invite you to join us then on air and online for Perspectives from WFSU Public Media. Take care.